I've been obviously making Zombies Run for 12 years now, and that's a long time. Particularly, that's a long time to work writing a single project. So Adrian Hahn and I, who came up with the game together, we were talking about how we'd never done anything in America. And I had sort of been keeping America for myself as a little treat to go, I wonder what's happening in America. So Rebecca Levine and I have been working on Zombies Run together for a very long time. She's been making it for like nearly 10 years now. We talked a lot about what we could do with America. One of the things I was also interested in was pushing the boundaries a little bit with what we've done with Zombies Run up till now. So obviously, anybody who plays Zombies Run knows you are Run of 5. That's your character. We stick with you. It's single perspective. And Run of 5 is always in the center of the action. You are the hero. I mean, I love that. I grew up reading fighting fantasy game books. Why would I not love a thing that says you are the hero? I think I was just interested in challenging myself to write something to see how it could work with multiple perspectives. I was sort of, feeling around thinking, is there a way to do a narrator? Is it possible? So we started out thinking about this perhaps narrative voice that would follow you around. And then, a flash of inspiration. Maybe the existence of the narrative voice could be a plot point. So for people who haven't finished it, it's not all out yet. I don't want to spoil it, but the existence of the narrative voice is a plot point in the story. Like trying to figure out who that narrator is and how they know all the things they're telling you is central to the story. So I'm interested in the American road trip. Essentially, it's an American road trip story. It's a science fiction, a zombie American road trip. Why not? A typical zombie American road trip story in TV and movies would be try to get to safety, which is it's a very understandable story point. But I also was interested in subverting it a bit. So in fact, these are basically people who are safe at the start, safe up to a point, and who are putting themselves in danger in the middle of a zombie apocalypse in order to try to do something that feels meaningful to them, even though they can't really explain why it feels meaningful. When it came to writing Robert's story, I have traveled in the Arctic a little bit. I have been to the Arctic. I went with Margaret Atwood to the Canadian Arctic. She introduced me to Native people that she knows and to the experience of being in the wilderness, which is about as wilderness as you can get in the world these days. And I knew that if I was writing something about North America, it would not sit with me to just write about the stories of basically people who are descended from settlers. And that in order to write something about North America, I wanted to include a native voice and native stories. As I was writing it, it became very clear to me that I was not the person who could write that native voice in any sort of authentic way. So I was incredibly lucky that the brilliant writer, Ishmael Hope, who is an Alaskan writer, who is a native person, agreed to work on the project with me. We had lots of wonderful conversations. He is a co-writer on the project, not just of the parts about Robert's story, but of the whole project. We worked on it together, and I think what he has brought there is such a sensitivity, a richness, a thoughtfulness towards the whole nature of the story, which I'm not going to spoil, but it's about what it means to be human. Ishmael and I have also talked about the real world and how people define the real world. So there are people out there for whom, I don't know, the real world is the world of celebrities, maybe, or the world of like the important work that I'm doing. And I think certainly something that my mind has been open to by spending that time with Margaret and by the small bit of travel that I've done in the Nunatsiavut, and meeting people who live there, is that the real world is the natural world, and everything else is symbolic world that we have invented. Having created the form of the zombie running game, now I want to see how far it can go. You know, we started as a Kickstarter project way back in 2011. So as far as I'm concerned, I want to take the form as far as it can go and come up with interesting ideas. And, you know, traditional ZR still exists and is going to continue to exist, but also to do some things that are a little bit more crazy. And just, you know, for the sake of myself as a writer, creator, wanting to challenge myself and wanting to, you know, do something a bit different, I am fantastically excited by just being at the cutting edge of things, by pushing forward in what stories can be and what games can be and how they work together. It's really made me think about the player, the reader, the viewer, the participant in the story in a way that there can be something a little patrician about storytelling where you're just kind of handing it down and then not wanting to hear what people have to say about it. The idea of allowing space in my narrative for the reader, the player, to experience it continues to be incredibly exciting for me. And like I say, my players are wonderful. I love them all. They're just great. So as long as they keep playing, then let's keep doing it.